Hello everybody, my hair is very wet and I'm recording this for a second time because the last time all of my audio sounded like this.
So I would like to talk about who's in the film.
Not ideal. Anyway, I just got back from seeing Alien Romulus in theaters and I have to say it was fan-friggin-tastic. So I wrote a bunch of notes and stuff and I just wanted to talk about it when I got home. So without further ado, here's that review. First off, I think the movie was great, and I think it's a very strong number 3 for me, sitting right behind Alien and Aliens in my overall ranking of the Alien franchise. It was fantastic. First and foremost, I guess I'll talk about the cinematography. I think it was stellar. It was a beautiful looking movie. All of the space scenes looked exceptional. Obviously, they're all CGI, and the CGI there was flawless. There was one part where something was sort of breaking apart in space, and seeing all of the tiny little particles and debris floating through space and glinting off light from a nearby sun was just incredible. It was all rendered extremely well. The score was exceptional. It was very eerie and grand and suspenseful, and really fit the tone of the film very well. Weirdly enough, it didn't really give me Alien vibes per se. It at times felt almost like the sort of mystical space music from the prequel Star Wars films. So that was odd, but it was good, and I don't think it took away from anything. So very good. I liked the score a lot. I'd like to own it on CD actually. I think the plot was very strong, and it fits nice and snugly in between Alien and Aliens, which is when it takes place, and very nicely nestled right next to Alien Isolation, the video game, which takes place, I believe, 4 years after this film did. So it slotted into that timeline pretty seamlessly, and I thought that was great. The characters are very well written and very well acted. All of their motivations were very clear. I didn't at any point second guess why a character was doing something or other. It all felt very clearly communicated to me what every character wanted, and that all came through very clearly through how it informed all of their decisions and actions throughout the film. Certain plot twists and plot lines were a little predictable, which I think is the case for most horror movies. For me personally, I find it very easy to sometimes see ahead of time what's going to happen. And to be fair, in this case, I feel that it's a lot more predictable if you're somebody who's very familiar with how these movies in this series are generally structured. So I feel that it's definitely a little less predictable for people who haven't seen it. But fear not, veteran watchers. There was definitely still a lot of unexpected surprises and little shocking moments that you will still be surprised by. And I think that was very good. It didn't... I could see a little bit ahead and be like, oh, this is going to happen, or this person's going to do this. But I was never like, I know exactly how this film's going to end. So take that for what you will. I think the movie was, at times, just a tad predictable, but overall, very, very, very good, and it kept me on my toes enough. And actually, I think the very solid line of suspense that goes through the whole film was partly to thank for that. My mother is who I went to go see it with. She's a big fan of the franchise. My mother stressed that she thought the last sort of act of the film was the most tense and stressful part. I could see that. It's a big finale, but that's generally just how action horror films usually go. But I thought that there was actually a very, very nice consistent line of tenseness and suspense throughout the entire movie, which built up naturally, obviously, to the last act of the film. So I think the pacing and suspense throughout was fantastic. I would say that there was a adequate amount of fan service and references. There was the usual sort of stuff, like characters paraphrasing or quoting lines directly from previous films, namely Alien and Aliens. The usual sort of thing, like quoting lines and whatnot, but there was also very nice visual sort of harkens back to entries previous, scenes that seemed visually reminiscent of other shots, and even blocking in certain scenes and whatnot. So that was very nice, and I thought it was done tastefully. I didn't think it was distracting for new viewers or new fans. It wasn't like what's this supposed to be? And it was more of a just like for like oh, look at that for all the people who would recognize it, obviously, but it didn't take anyone else out of it, and I don't think it was too distracting, so that's good. This is a spoiler alert. If you would not like to have this thing spoiled for you from this movie, please skip ahead. I will give you either a section in the play bar for spoilers or a timestamp on screen right here for where there will be no more spoilers. This is your last warning. So, my spoiler here is it was very, very good to see a familiar face in this movie, and I was sort of expecting there to be a connecting element to one of the previous two films that this film takes place in between, and that came in a couple minor forms, but in a large form through a character posthumously played by the late Ian Holm. And for those of you who know, Ian Holm portrayed, or for those of you who don't know, I suppose, who are still watching for some reason, Ian Holm portrayed the android Ash in the original. Hey, that's me. My name is Ash. Anyways, obviously, since Ian Holm is unfortunately deceased, he passed away in 2020, the character was not played in the flesh by him, but by another actor whose name I can't recall off the top of my head, and having Ian Holm's face digitized over it, a young Ian Holm. And I think the effect was overall very convincing, and it did goof up occasionally with certain facial expressions, or I thought some parts of his facial flesh moved a little oddly, but you can forgive all of that. Obviously, that sort of uncanny vibe feeling to it, uncanny valley vibe to it, because of the fact that he is an android. I may reference back to Alien 3 with the puppet representing Bishop, previously played by Lance Henriksen in Aliens. That looks a little chintzy here and there, but it's a physical prop, and I feel physical props are always a little bit more believable inherently than CGI because they are physically there. Practical effects are always king. But that being said, I think the CGI digitized face whatnot was very well done, and it especially looked very good when represented on TV screens in the film, because the CRT screens mask a bit of detail, and obviously that aids in the illusion. So I didn't think it took away from anything too much. It was very nice to see this performance, and I do believe his estate was contacted, so I think that they had permission to do this, which is always good, because I'm never a fan of digital necromancy when they decide to just randomly bring back actors, like at the end of The Flash. That was stupid. So as long as all the proper permissions were taken, I am all for it. It's kind of cool. To a reasonable extent, obviously. Don't make people act for friggin' billions of years beyond their best buy date. But for little cameos like this, I thought it was fine. I enjoyed the performance, and I thought it was very good. This is the end of the spoilers. Personally, I like to ignore certain films in the franchise, like Alien 3 and Alien Covenant, because they really aren't that great. Alien Resurrection isn't good either, but it makes me laugh, so I forgive it. So my watch order previously kind of just includes Alien, Prometheus, Aliens, and Alien Resurrection. So that included my watch order recommendation for this film would go Alien, Aliens, Alien Romulus, then Prometheus, and then Alien Resurrection. And my reason for saying that is that because it is slotted between these two films, Alien Romulus recontextualizes a couple details from these two movies, especially Aliens, and to a lesser extent Alien. It changes some details and sort of changes the meaning of certain things. So because of that, I feel that it has a little bit more impact to be watched after these two, and also it could potentially slightly spoil elements of these films if you haven't seen them. So for your first time watching, please watch it after these two. But even on rewatches, I would suggest watching it after these two. I place it before Prometheus because Prometheus is a ridiculous movie as a whole, but elements of its plot make a lot more sense with details from this film. So I would say it makes more sense to be viewed after, and then obviously Alien Resurrection takes place way after all of these films anyways, so you can view that last. Yeah, so watch them in whatever order you like, but my personal suggestion is Alien, Aliens, Alien Romulus, Prometheus, Alien Resurrection. Ignore the other ones. Watch AVP because it's great. Don't watch AVP 2 because you can't see anything anyways. Point I forgot to mention is that the lighting in this movie is gorgeous. I love horror movies when I can see things. Please take note, modern directors. light your scenes well. You can still have it be creepy if I can see the actors and everything happening around them. This movie was beautifully lit. Every scene was great. Every scene was dark, but I could see what was happening, and that's the key. So, unlike AVP Requiem, beautiful lighting. Loved it. Anyway, enough yapping for me. Overall, it was a fan-friggin-tastic movie. Go see it. I love good horror movies, and the more money they make, hopefully the more movies like them we'll see. So go see it in theaters, please. My final score for this film is a 7.5 out of 10. I would put Aliens, I meant to put up the first movie first, but I would put Alien at a 9 out of 10, and I would put Aliens at an 8.5 out of 10. These are stellar films. They are in their own league as far as I'm concerned. But comparing this movie to them, 7.5, maybe even an 8. I'll give it an 8 if I'm feeling generous. An 8 out of 10, 7.5. 7.9, 7.6. In that range, a 7 or 8 out of 10. It was fantastic. It compares very well to these films, but these films are just stellar in their own right. But please, please go see it for yourself and make your own opinion. That's all from me. As always, I will see. I'm not one of those YouTubers, but as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye. Go watch movies.